Once again, a very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed faculty, distinguished alumni, and honored guests. It's a very warm welcome on this momentous occasion, the launch of the Professor Chandramouli P. Early Career Chair. We are gathered here not just to celebrate this prestigious academic milestone, but also the spirit of giving back, of strengthening our institution, and of honoring excellence. To begin this auspicious event on a soulful note, we invite Mrs. Shubha Hari to please render the invocation song.
Namaste, everybody. I'm really grateful and honored to be presenting the invocation today. I just want to take a minute to remember our dear friend, Dr. Chandramouli's wife, Prabha, who was very, very passionate about our music. Sorry. Yeah, it's still starting. No, yeah, I need it. Okay. Namah Pranavaarthaya Shuddha-jnanaika-murtaye Nirmalaya Prashantaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Mahaganapatim manasa smarami 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 Mahaganapatim Vasishtavāmadevādivandita Mahaganapatim Mahadevasutam 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 Guru Guhanutam Mahadevasutam Guru Guhanutam Mahadevasutam Guru Guhanutam Marakoti Prakasham Shantam Mahadevasutam Guru Guhanutam Marakoti प्रकाशं शान्तं महाकाव्यनाटकादिप्रियम् महाकाव्यनाटकादिप्रियम् महाकाव्यनाटकादिप्रियं मूषिकवाहनमोदकप्रियं महाकाव्यनाटकादिप्रियं मूषिकवाहनमोदकप्रियं महागणपतिं मनसा स्मरामि महागणपतिं वसिष्ठवामदेवादिवन्दितमहागणपतिं मनसा स्मरामि मनसा स्मरामि Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for that divine rendition and for beginning this event with such positive vibration. It was divine. Thank you so much. I would like to request Mr. Jata Dubey to please present Mrs. Shubha Hari with a bouquet. Thank you so much, ma'am. Now, to formally commence the proceedings, I'm honored to invite Mr. Kaviraj Nair, CEO of the Office of Institutional Advancement, to present the welcome address.
Thank you, Shweta. Good morning to all of you and a very warm welcome to this wonderful event. I would like to take this opportunity to welcome our esteemed alumnus, Mr. Hari Srinivasan and his wife, Mrs. Shubha, to this event and of course, the whole of 1987 batch of alumni who have come together to support this chair in honor of our another esteemed alumnus and a faculty member, Professor Chandramouli. Thank you so much for doing this for the Institute, and this is such a joyous and such a noble cause that you're supporting. And I would also like to welcome our Dean, Professor Ashwin Mahalingam. I already mentioned the 87 batch of people, other faculty members of IIT Madras who are present here, my own colleagues from ACR office, all of you to this occasion, and I think we will look forward to listening from all of you. And I would also like to say that this early career chair professorship is something that is going to be quite instrumental for IIT Madras in terms of attracting faculty from various places. So we so far have this chair professorship, institute chair professorship, which goes through a separate selection process. But that comes only after someone becomes a professor and has qualified with various conditions and things like that. Now, what we realize is that the impact that it has on the faculty is much more in his or her early part of the career, right? So, and especially when that person is trying to make a choice between, let's say, between IIT Bombay and IIT Madras, this could perhaps be a trigger. Of course, it's a recognition at any point, at any stage in career, definitely no doubt about that. But we realize that the impact perhaps is going to be, and the influencing power is going to be more in the early part of the career. And with that view, we have realized that we should do more of early career chair professors in the institute, maybe some 150, 200 of them, so that, it's a recognition for the work, it attracts more talented faculty and all of that. So thank you once again to the entire batch of 1987, in particular to Mr. Hari Srinivas also, for coming forward to doing this. And let's look forward to the rest of the proceedings for this morning. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for setting the stage for the event. It is now my privilege to invite Professor Ashwin Mahalingam, Dean of the Office of Alumni Corporate Relations, to please share his thoughts.
Thank you, Shweta. Good afternoon, everyone, and it's lovely to see so many of you from the batch of 87, but I thought I heard a conversation somewhere saying a few people are actually a couple of batches this way, that way as well. So if there are other batches represented, welcome back to IIT Madras. I'm also an alumnus, but more than a decade after all of you. I was class of 98. So I hadn't even started thinking about JE when all of you were graduating. But it's a pleasure. I think one of the privileges of this position is I get to meet alumni all the way from the 1960s to the current day context. And it's just lovely to see, to listen to stories of how life was then, how life is now, and how life was when I was a student and things like this. So welcome, all of you. As Kaviraj said, so the office, so I took over as the Dean of Alumni and Corporate Relations about 5 months ago. And the office is actually called the Office of Institutional Advancement. So essentially what the office tries to do is to look at where IIT Madras is today and what can we do to take IIT Madras forward. Now, if you go, many of us have spent time in the US studying, working, things like this. And I think we're all familiar with the fact that in the United States, most universities have a number of these chair professorships. In fact, these days, the joke is it's hard to find somebody who does not occupy a named chair in a US university. And in India, of course, we've been a little bit behind, particularly at, including the IITs, but we're catching on quickly. And I think these chairs from an institutional advancement purpose serve at least two important objectives. One is they serve as a source of motivation and inspiration for the occupant of that chair. It's a source of pride to be associated with the chair, and that normally encourages, well, first it encourages people to aspire to be an occupant of a chair, and once you're an occupant of a chair, it inspires you to pursue high quality research and do justice to the fact that you're an occupant of that chair. In addition, there is a small monetary compensation that you also get that goes into your research and other professional developmental activities that will help you maybe attend another conference, send a student to a conference, things like this. So from the perspective of pushing the institute forward, from the perspective of institutional advancement, I think a chair professorship does quite a bit. And as Kaviraj was saying, the idea behind an early career chair is that you don't have to wait until you're close to retirement to be eligible for a chair. Based on promise and potential, you could occupy a chair very early on in your career, and hopefully that motivates you to work in what is currently a cutting edge area and be one of the world leaders in that area. So from that perspective, it pushes the institute forward. But the second thing is, I think it also does a wonderful job of recognizing people who may be part of the institute, who may not be a part of the institute, for services that they've done. And this is a name that will last for a long period of time. Perhaps we look at these chairs at least 15 years, maybe even longer. And I think it's important to institutionalize and in some sense immortalize people who have contributed quite a bit to IIT Madras. So we have about 60 odd named chairs today in the institute, and I think that's a trend that we would like to grow. So from both of those perspectives, to recognize an individual and immortalize them as in the name of the chair, as well as to incentivize a young faculty to occupy the chair, I think this serves very important purposes. Normally, in the past, when we've had these named chairs, we've named them after faculty. We've named them after all kinds of people, industry, people from faculty, from the faculty, and so on. But typically, when we name a chair after a faculty member, it often happens long after the faculty member retires. In some cases, it happens long after they've passed on as well, and we come back and people talk about when they were alive, what they were. So it's very nice to endow a chair to a faculty who is currently not only at IIT Madras, but a very active faculty at IIT Madras. And I can think of no one better to start this trend with than Mouli. Of course, all of you know him far better than I do. I've only seen Mouli in action in various faculty meetings, Senate meetings, and things like that. And I will say this, he keeps the institute on its toes. Okay, so you want to be very clear when you're presenting something, and you want to be very clear that you've done all your research and homework, because if you haven't, he has, right? And this information arbitrage can be very perilous to the person who was presenting it And I've seen that in action a few times. But in all honesty, I think a lot of the comments that I've seen him, sort of the discussions that he's engaged in, have really helped streamline processes and push the institute forward. Of course, his own work is exceptional. In fact, one of the recent things that I'm aware of that we're doing along with an alumnus is this wind energy center that Mauli is also playing a hand in, which I think is hopefully going to be yet another crown jewel in our bio. So I'm very happy to see the class come together to institute the chair. Also doubly happy to see that it is instituted in Mauli's name, and we look forward to having a series of wonderful young faculty occupy this. That's also the other advantage of the early career chair, is that you don't stay as an early career faculty for very long. So somebody occupies it for a period of time, and then you actually have the ability to rotate it. So several cutting edge areas could benefit from being exposed to this chair. So we really look forward to a great run with this chair over the next decade and a half. Special thanks, Hari, I believe you were the person who sort of brought the batch together, motivated them to do this, but also to all the other batchmates. It's also nice to commemorate it as a batch. I think we all, when you meet someone, 3-4 basic questions: which batch were you, which branch were you, what was your nickname, which hostel. So I think these are the 3-4 things that have always... Sir, the less said about that for some of us, the better. Correct. Yeah. Only the computer science EE guys talk about that. For the rest of us, we know it doesn't matter. Okay. Several of us do that. So... yeah. So welcome again to all of you. Thank you so much for instituting this chair, and we can only look forward to see all the wonderful things that this will bring in and how this will advance IIT Madras. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, sir, for that insightful speech. And now we arrive to the most anticipated moment of the day, the official launch of the Professor Chandramouli Early Career Chair. This chair stands as a testament to the legacy of excellence and mentorship made possible by the collective generosity and vision of the class of 1987, its donors, and most importantly, Mr. Hari Srinivasan. To mark this significant milestone, we now proceed with the MOU signing ceremony by Professor Ashwin Mahalingam and Mr. Hari Srinivasan, a symbolic gesture that reinforces our commitment to academic excellence and innovation. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a huge round of applause as we proudly inaugurate the Professor Chandramouli P. Early Career Chair. Professor as well. Thank you so much. A huge round of applause to everyone who has made this possible today. Thank you. A milestone of this stature is incomplete without the insights of a visionary leader. It is my honor to invite Mr. Hari Srinivasan to please deliver the keynote address.
I think the director is late, but I'll address him anyway. With the Honorable Director of IIT Madras, Professor Kamakoti, Dean Professor Ashwin Mahalingam, Mr. Kaviraj Nair, members of Alumni and Corporate Relations Office, classmates from my 1987 batch, ladies and gentlemen. I'm extremely delighted to launch Professor Chandramouli Early Career Chair and thank all my classmates for their generous donations to make this event possible. In addition, I sincerely thank the member of Alumni and Corporate Relations Office, especially Sweta Bhupati and Devi Krishnan, for patiently answering my question and their hard work in making this project a great success. When Sweta approached me for a keynote address, I found the speech to be more challenging than the fundraising process. After reviewing all the various topics, I decided to highlight the story behind the launch of the chair. The idea of giving something back to the institution which launched my professional career originated about a year ago when Shubha and I were going through our estate planning process. Given that I'm in the later stages of my career, you constantly reflect on some of the events that have transformed the career. And one of the most important in my life was admission to IIT Madras. I came from a lower middle class family where a good education was the only ticket to financial success, quite similar to the two heroes that you might have seen in the movie Three Idiots, but lacking the health issues and the emotional blackmail. While the 4 years at IITM honed my academic skills, perhaps the greatest contribution that the institution made was the growth of my self-esteem and my self-confidence, which really allowed me to power through multiple challenges that I faced in my life. On a humorous note, I would also like to thank the Institute for my wife, because Shubha has mentioned to me multiple times in our life that if not for IIT, I would not have made her cut. I approached Professor Mouli last summer with this idea, and he initially protested vehemently on the idea of naming a fellowship in his name. For me, he was the ideal candidate, as he had achieved everything a mechanical engineering graduate from IIT Madras could hope for. But with some persuasion, I think he relented, because ultimately these funds will help his department. As one of my classmates said in our WhatsApp group, Mouli, you, the man, teaching, research, consulting, just in one awesome package, wrapped in common sense and good humor. I could not have thought of a better candidate than Professor Mouli. With that, I invite Mouli to say a few words.
Thank you so much, sir. In this moment, we would like Professor Ashwin to please felicitate Mr. Hari Srinivasan with an Angavastram and a memento. We request the other dignitaries on the dais to also please join for the picture. Yes. Thank you so much, sir. We are now privileged to hear from the person whose name this chair carries, a distinguished academician, mentor, and leader. Please join me in welcoming Professor Chandramouli, head of the Mechanical Department, to please address the gathering.
So, very good afternoon to all who are gathered here. And for once, Ashwin always says, I'm once lost for words here with the emotions. There's only one word that I can say, and this is basically gratitude, that what I will take, even after 40 years, what has lingered, that my classmates think that that a chair should be created, and of course Hari has already mentioned how I am reluctant. In fact, I tried to call it the 1987 batch chair. I gave him a few options. He said none of the above. So it came to pass. I guess, as he rightly said, at the end I relented because it was more important to bring the chair here. It doesn't matter what it is going to be called. And I'm very happy that he has, I congratulate Hari for, leading this effort. And he has been quite persuasive, as we will not reveal what he has said in WhatsApp groups to get this done, but I would say he has been quite persuasive. A great honor for me, indeed a great honor. And as I said, I'm with deep gratitude to all my friends, and I have across friends. I'm very happy to see so many friends here from school. Of course, KK is my chuddy buddy from LKG, who is here, right? And Krishna, Vinita, and Babu, Babu, of course, I know from Ohio State days. Actually, he was looking for me. I think coming from Trichy, some relative, one of my uncles was his doctor, so family doctor. So he was looking around for a guy who was, his nephew. So that is how I met Babu in 1988, and we have been together ever since. Of course, Krishna was the first one I ran into when I joined IIT Madras in aerospace building. So he asked me, "Are you a PhD student?" So I said, "No, I have a faculty who has joined applied mechanics, which was my previous department." So anyway, I'm extremely happy that this chair has been established, and I hope some of the young faculty who will benefit immensely from this. And as Ashwin said, we hope more such chairs will be created in the near future. Thank you so much. Wish you all the best.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing us with your thoughts. I would now like to extend to the audience, if anybody would please like to come on stage and share a few words to our donor. And yes, sir, please.
Oh, you can. Good afternoon, everyone. I have known Mauli since 1988, as he said. He came to OSU 2 years after I did. Now, during all these years, I have met a lot of people who are extremely smart, and a few who are very hardworking. And as someone said, I belong to the latter group. Mauli, I thought belonged to the former group. Okay. Now, I always used to think that it would be frightening to meet someone who is a combination of both. I used to think it was frightening, but until I met Mauli. Mauli is a combination of both. He is one of those rare individuals who is extremely talented, but he is equally hardworking. So that is very, very rare to see. And indeed, interacting with him can be frightening. And Mauli is formidable at the best of times, so there is no doubt about that. With his skills and research temperament, if Mauli had stayed back in the US, no doubt, he would be the research head of one of the Fortune 500 companies. Okay? But he chose to come back and serve his nation. And today, he stands tall in his endeavor of teaching and academic research. Okay? Now, indisputably, he is among the best teachers the students have ever had the privilege of learning from in this institute. In the history of the institute, he is probably among the best teachers. There is no doubt about that. Okay? Now, the research scholars who have worked with him have also been extremely privileged to have had him as an advisor. They would have understood that the journey, meaning the training, was more important than the destination, which is the degree. That is something that is missing nowadays. Okay? PhD scholars, as graduate students, we were told repeatedly that it was the journey which was more important, the training that you get from your advisor, which was more important, because eventually, somehow or other you will get the degree, right? Even in those days. So that is what Mauli offers. They also, in addition to this, would have understood that they could never hope to meet the standards that Mauli sets for himself or for others. in this context, when my son was, at an adolescent age, he knows Mauly very well. So I suggested to him that he should look at Mauly as a role model. Okay? So he sort of kept quiet for a minute, looked at me, and then he said, bang, he said, Appa, goals can be out of reach, not out of sight. Then I then told him reluctantly, yes, I agree with you. Only now, after knowing him for nearly 40 years, only now Mauly is probably within my reach. If not in my reach, within my reach. So yes, Mauly sets very high standards for the institute. And as Ashwin said, probably what I would say is Mauly is one of the conscience keepers of the institute. He does what he does, says what he says, because he is one of the conscience keepers of the institute. It will be a very sad day when Mauly superannuates, but fortunately I will superannuate before you, Mauly. This act of setting up a chair in Mauly's name is a fitting tribute to Mauly's career, in which service to the institute was the only priority. That is the only priority in Mauly's career. Career advancement was never on Mauly's mind. Okay? Faculty members like him, in my opinion, may not bring visibility to the institute. You will not see Mauly's name, in the media, newspapers and so on. They may not bring visibility, but they bring credibility to the institute. It is because of teachers like him. There is no doubt about that in my mind. I am happy that his batchmates have recognized this and have set up the chair. I am sure it will serve to benefit many young colleagues at IIT Madras now and in the future. Okay, it's very hard for me to describe in words what I feel about Mauly. We have known each other for too long. So, but I am happy that I am able to do this today, because this is what I would have said on his day of superannuation had he not been 2 years junior to me. So now I get to say it now, thanks to all his batchmates. It's a wonderful gesture. Congratulations, Mauly.
Thank you so much, sir. Would anybody else like to please? Yes.
Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Srinivasan, called Zulu, same batch as these guys, right? So I'll just keep it short, just to recognize what Hari and Mauly have done. This effort is largely done by Hari. He was, very humble as usual to include. It's his 95% or whatever, 99% is his effort. It's a terrific thing that Hari and his wife have done to give back like this. Hari now, actually, his mentor was Professor V. Ramurthy. And Hari looks like Professor V. Ramurthy now. I was just telling her, he was walking in front, his gait is like Professor Ramurthy. And now I look at him, his front is also like Professor V. Ramurthy. So they say if you stare at something for too long, it stares back at you. Something like that. Hari is a very terrific guy. Like most of a batch. Very humble, very down to earth. He's been through very tough times also. But what he's done is terrific, and giving back to the institute for research, to faculty, I think is one of the great things. There are many things too, but I think it's a very important thing. So thanks, Hari, for doing this. On Professor Mauly, of course, we used to call him Mamu. So there was this thing that he used to play cricket, and then he took to umpiring. And then in the hostel, when there was a 4, he used to do this. So we used to call him, "Are you Dicky Bird?" And then I used to feel that at that stage, he was not like this then, that he was trying to fly, and he was trying to, overcome this weight to lift ratio. There was some problem. And I said, "You're a mechanical engineer, you know this very well. So what was he trying to do?" But of course, now he probably can fly now. He's become trim. But that apart, that umpiring, I think umpire has to be very balanced, right? There are some decisions you take which is not clear, but you have to be balanced. Can't be this side and that side. It's a very good role. I think that mindset somewhere reflects in what, as a head of department, he has to do. Different problems he'll have to face. Students will come with very complex personal problems sometimes, right? And then you have to balance different stakeholders in the institute, the research. A student who may not attend classes might be very good as an emotional problem. I think that's a terrific role that he's doing as head of the department. It's a very important role. It's just not an administrative thing. That's one aspect of it. From the students. The other bit on the research side, he's, as I think he was saying, very, very structured, very logical, brings a lot of hard work and thought to what he's doing. So that's probably why he's working on, the area of sound principles, right? So that's what he stands for. I think we are very proud that one of our batchmates is a faculty in the same institute where we studied. The institute taught us many things for different ways. And we are also very proud that one of our batchmates led this whole effort to do this. So, and I was not...
which used to be a scary thought when we were studying. It's taken on that road.
Yeah. Yes. No, I used to be a bit playful. Even now I try to be, but age is catching on. So, but not just Paul. He will remember. I forgot. So actually, I thought today I may not be. I'm based in Bangalore. So lucky 2 days back I came here to be part of this. It's very emotionally very fulfilling to be part of this. And thanks everybody. And thanks Hari and all of us. Thank you.
In the interest of extra time that we will be waiting for the director, can anybody else also please share? Yes, sir. Thank you for saving me.
So, hello everyone, my name is Krishna Kumar. People call me KK. And as Mauli said, Chuddy Buddy from LKG, believe it or not. We have few of us. We actually, whenever we meet up in Madras, I never say Chennai, it's Madras for me still. We go on the beach on some mornings, and I was thinking that they do it on a regular basis, but then Mauli corrected me and said that only when people like me come, they actually go out onto the beach. But anyway, he is, I've enjoyed his company for the last 50 plus years, right? And it's quite incredible because in school, I'll talk more about school because this IIT, of course, there are enough people here to talk about it too, but in school, he's always been the steady, calm, unassuming, but incredibly brilliant kind of guy. And we used to vie for the top position in the class every year, right? And it was always a pleasure to work with Mauli, and I think we shared a conduct prize, believe it or not, one of those years, right? We got this massive cup, and then we didn't know what to do. How do you share a cup? But it's quite incredible because it turned out that both he and I topped on the last year, the 12th grade, so it's amazing that both our names found itself on the board that hangs still in Padma Seshadri School. And there were a few comments, and thank you, Hari, for pushing this whole chair concept, and it's incredible that such a person who's as talented and unassuming and humble as Mauli gets his name on it. But the word formidable has been used today, right? I think that the guy who was the tailor, who was the workshop guy for us the first year, he knew Mauli was formidable, and I'll say why. So here we are, if you remember, is there still workshop these days? There is not quite the same, right? Anyway, we used to get our cocky, attire stitched up by the tailor. And so we were lining up, and he was measuring each one of us and saying that, okay, you get a meter, or whatever that measure was. And Mauli comes up, and Mauli used to be bigger, right? He's done a great job, bringing his, let's say, formidability down. But anyway, so this guy comes up and says, whatever, 1.5 meters for Mauli. And Mauli protests and says, "Enappa, enakku matram ivlo." I'm sorry for the people who don't understand. Enakku matram ivlo. And that guy said, "Enna sir, neenga height avum irkinga, weight avum irkinga." So with that, I'll sign out. But amazing, thank you, Harith. It's incredible, Mauli. You're the name on the chair. Yep.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for giving us these small anecdotes that everybody else seems to miss out on. Ma'am, would you like to say a few words? I think everybody's talking about Professor Chandramouli. I think Mr. Hari is feeling a little left out. No? I'm just buying time at this point. Will anybody else like to say a few words? Because otherwise I'm going to... Thank you, sir.
Thanks to everybody and congratulations, Mauli. And I'm the least qualified to stand here and speak because, I keep telling people there are two ways to come and give a talk at IIT. One is to be like KK or Mauli and study and get into IIT and all of that. Or to be like me, that play games and then go out and make all the mistakes in life and then come back and then talk about people. So I think a few things that were said about Mauli, I think one of the most important things about Mauli is that he is still a learner. I say the best way to teach is the best way to learn is to teach. And the best way to teach is to practice, and the best way to practice is to be. I think Mauli exemplifies all of that. And the name that I gave him was NVH Specialist, because I learned that he was specializing in this. And I think in all of the anecdotes that came out, that he speaks, and he speaks well. And he speaks to the point, and he doesn't raise his voice, and he can be the umpire. He doesn't need to do this. And he still gets people to fall in line. And, in our school group, we have people who still think that they are 4 years old, right? And they behave like they are 4. And at 4, they would have said, I'm going to tell the teacher. Now, there's no teacher, but we are still at each other's throats. And Mauli is the voice of reason, of sanity. And he does it very, very well. And so, I landed up in Chennai from Bangalore. In our school group, KK had posted that there's this thing that's happening. And the next thing that I did was I bought my tickets to come to Bangalore, to Madras. Then I got to know that this is only by invite. And it's only for alumni. So I said, Mauli, I don't know. I bought my tickets. If nothing else, I'll come to Chennai and I will, do a beach walk with you and go back. But then Mauli was kind enough to say, don't worry, I'll get you in. And I didn't expect to speak, but absolutely I can't think of a better person as a human being that is deserving of this. And I thank all of the batchmates and the institute for a truly deserving person getting this, his name embellished and hopefully immortalized. Thank you. Absolutely, absolutely.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you to all the audience members for sharing your thoughts. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Director, sir, for joining us here. We request you to please come and address the gathering.
Friends, hearty welcome to IIT Madras campus, and thank you, Hari, for getting this wonderful thing. In WhatsApp, when I type HOD, it auto-corrects as God. And the level of God is determined by how many people the God actually blesses, and Mauli blesses more than 1,700 students in the Department of Mechanical Engineering. It's we never call it a department, call us a Federation of Labs. Okay. And in a later vein, the previous head, Sheshadi Shekhar, appeared for an interview for a director position at IIT Palakkad, which he got in. And so one of the questions asked was, how many students are there in IIT Palakkad, and it was 1,100 some. How many students are in mechanical? I said 1,700. So the department is larger than the strength of any third generation IIT. So I'm very, very happy. Nothing gives more pleasure related that to an alumni actually instituting a chair in name of a very dear friend and a very efficient HOD and of course a well accomplished mechanical engineer. Very happy, and this is also going for a very interesting purpose. We would like to basically recognize people who come into IIT system. Just now we are conducting the promotion interview, and phenomenal amount of work is done by the youngsters. And they leave out very big industry job or very big opportunities in the developed countries to come here and spend the rest of the life. And IIT gives you somewhere we can talk about 35-year career. Nowhere can you give. I joined an industry intermediately between my postdoc and assistant professor here. In the first page, they wrote that welcome aboard and all this nice English words, and then said, you can be terminated within 3 weeks of notice. Okay. Then I told him, that's my first industry offer, so I said, in India we have something called omen, right? So, good omen, nalla shagun. Katta shagunama irukku. Please put it in the second page. Right, at least. No. Then he went, no, I have to discuss with legal. Legal said that this should be explicitly stated, so it can't go to the second page. Okay, so that is where, Prof. Anand used to say, industry versus academia. Industry is always sum of all positive. You write a shitty paper, it's a double-blind review, you don't know who has reviewed and they don't know who's the author. They put in the trash if it doesn't get accepted. So in academia, it's only sum of positive things that you do. But in industry, it's the whole sum, right? Any one wrong decision after several quarters of success, one bad quarter will throw a CEO out. So, of course, those risks are there, but still, industry is much, much more financially rewarding and also gives you, and we all think that, teacher job is easy, but, it's very tough. As a director, I spend around 18 hours a day to work, and HOD spend almost equal amount of time. So teaching has become a very, demanding profession also. So that essentially means that when these young children, as we could call now children, come out and say that they want to take a faculty position here, we need to really, give them some boost. And I'm sure this early career chair is something which is really going to make a big difference. And that too in name of the HOD, I'm sure the next appointment in mechanical department will be Professor Mouli, Chandramouli, early career chair. I think that adds a lot more value. Please carry on this message, Ari, to all your friends and batchmates. So we would like to have, we are planning to grow up to 1,250 faculty. We are currently at 670. We started off with 580 somewhere after COVID. And COVID was a lull period. After that, we have now grown to 150, 170 we have recruited. So we would like to go up to 1,200. So we need a lot more of these early career chairs. So, and we have 60,000 alumnus, so getting 600 of them to give an early career chair, I don't think it's going to be difficult, but this is very important for IIT. So thank you very much, Hari, for, I think he's the opening batsman, right? It's the inaugural early career chair? One of the early, okay, so you are Sehwag and there may be some 10, okay. Right. Thank you very, very much, and all the batchmen who have come here and shared all your nice thoughts, and congratulations, Mouli. Forever, I think this chair will be there forever, and I'm very proud, very happy. Thank you. There is no termination clause at all. So that's the beauty of us. No? In IIT offer letter, we never talk about termination. And now, and we engage. After 65, we have Professor Emeritus and Institute Professor. And Professor Balki now, physics, I think everyone should have touched Balki, anybody in the last 40 years who have come to IIT. He's still very active. He's coming here. So IIT has only entry, no exit. In IIC, when I was there, IIC also is similar, right? IIC is much more, still more, IIT has a lot of teaching demand, but IIC is a different ball game altogether. So in one of the Senate, somebody asked, what do you need more in IIC? And one member, we all enter vertical, we don't want to go out horizontal. So let us start a symmetry inside, okay? So the jokes apart, the thing is that it's a lifelong engagement, and I think all institutes have this lifelong engagement. In some way or other, you can be associated, you can come and teach. Still, Professor Kamala Kirtivasan, I come from the computer science department. So Kamala retired, Professor Pandu and Professor Kamala retired around, Pandu retired 3 years before, but Professor Kamala retired 8 years before. But still they are coming and teaching, as long as they can teach courses. So we have several courses now. So we have around 11,000 in campus, around 38,000 online. Okay, 38,000 students in our online course. And we now have a Africa campus also. And several countries are asking now. Yesterday, Kenya came, that lady came and almost, she was very unhappy saying, why you didn't start a thing in Kenya. And today morning I got one more mail, I think I forwarded to Raghu, I think. So another country has requested for a campus. Our Tanzania campus is good. If any of you are visiting to that part of Africa, please do drop in our Tanzania campus. It's a wonderful campus. First I was thinking, how many people will go there? But then Preeti, our first and woman director, we have a first woman director, taking care of our Tanzania campus. So she sent a photo with a starfish in the sea, the good water, and I just sent it out to our faculty colleagues that we have opened the campus. Secretly, 350 of them told I would like to go there. No. We have lines in faculty. And of course, when we decided on Tanzania, we had a lot of options, but since we were the first to say that we will open, and we went and pitched for it. But three things we kept in mind. One thing is, first, they should need us, right? I don't want to go to a country where they will. Initially, Indians went as plumbers and electricians, and they'll still see us like that, right? So we didn't want to go to those countries. So they need us first. Second thing is that school education system should be good. I should not go there and admit some Indian students, right? So I should admit their students there. And the third thing is the government should support us. The government doesn't support, they start saying we'll be. So we started with that, and all these things clicked in Tanzania and Zanzibar, and the minister came. Now our dean is sort of, Elon Musk is to Trump, is Raghu Rangasamy is to that Zanzibar person. So they advise us on the parliament of Tanzania, so he's the AI consultant for that. And so we really, what I mean, if you go to the Tanzania immigration and they say, oh, come for IIT Madras, they say, Madras, then they carry your luggage and keep out. Okay, so that's the way they are treated. So we are now very respected there. And they have given us 233 acres of land, free to our campus. So the deal is Saraswati is mine, Lakshmi is theirs. So they invest all the money, so we give all the education. They are given all freedom. They actually want to enact a parliament act saying that, like how India has recognized IITs, they are really autonomous body. There's something called autonomy in paper, there's something called real autonomy. IITs enjoy that real autonomy, right? We are in the Act of Parliament we have. So they are also creating a similar act there, and we are consulted, and now a lot of people, in Sanskrit there's a very interesting saying, Loko pujita pujitaha. Somebody say you are great, then tomorrow Pumbazham varum, next Sevvazham varum, then Madhulambaram varum, then we become saint. Okay, so this is how it goes. So now Airtel came out and said Africa India Foundation, Africa Airtel Foundation. They are giving us $500,000, subsidizing the fees of those Tanzanians and Kenyans who can't afford that much fees. Now Adani has come and said, why are you taking from them first? Now I'll give you second. So now I've started that monkey biscuit business, right? You know the story. So we will get a lot more of funding also. So industry is also participating. And India now as a government, after seeing the sort of relationship that we had built, They are now saying that all African projects, IIT Madras will be a gateway. That way we grow in perception and other things. So a lot of good things coming up, a lot of hard work put by all of us. So we'll keep your alma mater flying. So please keep visiting and get me more early career chairs. That's my thing. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us, sir. We now approach the conclusion of this momentous occasion. I would like to invite Ms. Sujata Dubey, Vice President of the Office of International and Alumni Relations, to present the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is indeed my honor and privilege to offer the vote of thanks for this wonderful occasion. I'd like to start by thanking our director for coming in even in between his really extremely tight schedule, just for a few minutes at least to be with us here. I'd like to thank Mr. Hari Srinivasan and Professor Mouli for giving us this opportunity to have this occasion. It really is a wonderful feeling for all of us to see this come about. I'd like to thank our Dean, Professor Ashwin Mahalingam, and Kaviraj, the CEO of our office, and last but not least, the friends of Mr. Hari and Dr. Mouli, who have taken the time out of their lives to come and join us here. And I hope you have a good day at IIT today, all of you, and of course my team mates here. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. Thank you all for being part of this proud occasion. Before we all move on for lunch, which is being served in the annex hall right opposite, we request everybody to please form for a group photo downstairs, in front of the stage. The batchmates, the friends, family, everybody who's joined us here today, please come for a group photo before we disperse for lunch.
So, all good, all good. Oh, did you realize that? No, kindly join, kindly join. What is there in a photograph? Please join, like so. Yeah,
Now over lunch we'll talk.
yeah.
Sorry, a quick announcement. We request Hari sir, Ashwin sir to please join below for the picture.
Just keep it as a 79 batch thingy. Oh, sorry.
Everybody, general group. Everybody group.